happening here on the domestic scene. Football teams in Rivers State will be in focus tonight. You'll understand the reason why when we go on the show. We'll also talk about the Women's League in Nigeria, what is going on in the Women's League. We'll also talk about the Falcons and a whole lot more for you on the show. We'll try our best not to forget the Australian Open as well. We'll talk about Rafael Nadal, Sophia Kenin, some of the stars that have crashed out, some that are still in the competition. That's just the outlook of the show tonight. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what's on the menu tonight. I want to bring you into all that we're doing on the show tonight. Of course, I've always told you you're integral to everything that we do. So this is how you can be a part of the show tonight. Speak to us and be heard across the globe. You can talk to us sports tonight at channelstv.com. You can get across to us on Facebook, Channel 7 Sports. Then, of course, you can tweet at us at that handle that you have right there on your screen at channels_sports. Let us know how you feel about all the things happening in your amazing, fast-paced, money-spinning world of sports. So, once again, I want to welcome you. Thanks for joining us on the show. Yemi Dabaya. All right, so I have Bolu Omoni with me on the show today. Bolu, greetings to you. Thanks for making it through. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, good to be here. And in your introduction, you mentioned something about the Club World Cup. And the only thing, or the first thing that got to my mind was the amount of money Al Ali will be making or made from this competition, about $4 million.
Wow.
Remember the day we spoke to I think Ojekere, and he was like, we should not just focus on getting to this. Okay, we've made continents. What next? We should plan on winning. Because the money bag is the Club World Cup. And now that they will be expanding,
more money.
$4 million hitting any club in the NPFL will change the financial status. That should be the goal.
All right, so that should be the plan. That should be what we're looking at, not just making up the numbers, not just getting to the semi-finals. Ultimately, Nigerian clubs now, with the example of Al Ali, $4 million in the kitty, we should start planning how to have a share of that largesse. And, of course, you can only do that if you win the CAF Champions League and you go on to play in the FIFA Club World Cup. And now that it's going to be expanded, a lot of money on offer as well. All right, so let's go straight into the show tonight. Let's start by talking about Nigeria's Haruna Quadri, Africa's best table tennis player. And let's talk about the fact that he has gotten a contract extension right there in Germany with his club. He has earned, after a good campaign in his first season, he has earned a 2-year contract in the German Bundesliga, the tennis Bundesliga, let me put it that way, to clear up any misconception. The table tennis Bundesliga right there in Germany. And it is good. In his debut season, did well, lifted his team. And, coming from Portugal, going to Germany, and a lot of people, I don't know why there were fears that probably he might struggle, but that wasn't his case. He helped his team, and on the strength of all the good things he did for his team, to get a 2-year extension.
If you remember when he was signed by the club, they were like, okay, well, due to his exploits, especially at the last Olympic Games and the other competition, okay, let's just give him a year to see what he can offer. Then maybe he would extend by a year after that. But I think he probably did beyond their expectations, including everybody at the club, that they had to give him 2 years. One of the things we say about consistency, that Haruna Quadri is that definition. Yeah. There was a time people were like, okay, yes, it was ranked higher according to the world rankings, but not in Africa and everything. But he kept on hitting hard. Every event he goes for, even the ones he lost to probably the best players in the world, you will still see the passion, you still see the action that this guy knows what he's doing. And look at him, and instead of getting a year extension, he has gotten 2 years. There's no better motivation to prepare for the Olympic Games than when you are sure of at least the next 2 years, I've gotten a new contract, I'm getting paid. Believe me, I just hope he doesn't get to meet all those strange guys at the Olympic Games. Even if he does, remember he played them in 2 events last year. Yeah. Who knows, he may have learned 1 or 2 things from them and maybe shock the world at the Olympic Games, if it happens.
All right, if it happens, I'm very happy for Haruna. And just like Bolu said, this helps him. It takes away the distraction. You're able to compete at the Olympics with a clear mind. You know your future is resolved, and the only thing you want to do is give your best for your club. So I'm hoping this works well for Aaron. I'm also hoping that he opens the door for a lot of other Nigerian table tennis players.
Motayo is also doing so well. I think we've said it over time. Same thing we are seeing in Nigeria table tennis is what we are seeing in the world tennis. An advice for the young guys: those men are not ready to drop the betting for you. You have to not just collect it. You have to fight hard. People say, why does Segun Toriola keep competing? I tell them, because the young boys are not beating him. The only way Segun Toriola will step down is probably if he loses out this event. Okay, maybe try again and continue losing. But if he keeps winning, you can't expect him to step down. So for the young guys, just look at someone like Aaron Okondre, from nowhere, coming up, rising so high. Now it's probably, you can't call the best players in the world. You definitely call Aaron. I think he's among the top 20 best players in the world. Top 20, not Africa. Top 20 in the world. That is something that should be a huge motivation for the rest.
All right, Shibi, I can agree less with you based on what you said. All right, as we move on the show, let me just quickly give you a hint. At some point, we will be joined by the chairman of the local organizing committee for the National Sports Festival. He also doubles as the deputy governor of Edo State, Philip Shuaibu. So when we're ready for that, we'll go straight into it to talk about all issues relating to the sports festival. Now we have the fourth postponement of the game, so it's going to tell us a lot of things regarding all of that, the willingness of the state to still go ahead and host the competition. So there's a lot to unpack, and just sit back, relax. We'll get to that in a bit, but let me quickly get Bolu's thought. I mean, we dreaded that moment, but we knew that was the only solution. Probably the only other thing would be just outrightly say this thing is not going to happen. But if it was going to happen, it was always going to be another postponement.
I think just a week ago, we were discussing on why everyone has been silent on, is this happening? Is it not going to happen? Let us know how to
tell
plan.
us something.
Else, you start seeing strange headlines. You start seeing weird headlines. Sport minister keeps mute. Edo State's silent on the sports festival and everything. So they had to come to a conclusion.
Some allusions and attributions here and there.
What many of us are already seeing. And I saw, I can't remember her name, one of the best Nigerian badminton players. She was explaining why, even if they are not cancelled, she, for one person, will not allow a word. Not because she doesn't like it, but because of the safety, everything going on around. Sport minister said one thing that is key, that yes, Edo State publicly said, we don't have money. Facilities, everything is ready, but not the financial aspect. As sport minister said, other states, probably if they are ready to, would have been in Edo State, hoping to start, but they too did not move. So it means not just Edo State are broke, everyone is broke, and we have to look for a solution. And another, at least, good news per se is, he said it will hold this year. No date set for April, just make, okay, April, and that the federal government will support by then. We hope everything turns out fine before then, because that's probably the last chance alone for the sport festival to hold. Because if it's holding later on in the year, it's definitely not going to be a prayer for the Olympic Games. According to them, it's meant to be a prayer for many. Some athletes are not qualified. It could be the final chance for some. But if it doesn't happen in April, probably the Olympic dream for some is gone.
Yeah, let's play the devil's advocate and look at the worst case scenario. Some athletes depend on the games to qualify for their events at the Olympics. So if that does not happen, we'll just have some say, okay, you and you go to the Olympics. I mean, what's going to happen? Because I mean, some skeptics have said, until they see people gather in Edo State, they don't believe that April date is visible. Even the date has not been chosen by them.
I just said April. Hopefully we'll fix it. I think it's a two-way thing. Either we select people we assume to be the best. And because I ran 10 seconds last year, doesn't mean I will run 10 seconds this year. Because I ran maybe 20 seconds for whatever reason, I may be better this year. Even the legendary Kodo Kagbari, she has done 2 personal bests this year, means she has done better than she was last year. So I think the first option is maybe if it won't hold, just choose maybe our best players, or we probably cancel some of the events for Nigeria. Then the foreign guys, those that train abroad, will probably be the ones just fly the flag of Nigeria. But again, April looks far. Like, okay, if you are counting days, it looks far. You'll be thinking about maybe 70 days, 80 days. But if you are counting by months, it's just 2. It means whatever will happen by then. The planning should not stop. Not, okay, since it's not happening this week, let's just, no rest. If you want it to happen by then, you need to start planning by now. If April will happen, by March, every state should be ready. You know, okay, just give us a date in April and we'll send everyone. Probably if, maybe out of the 36 states plus the federal capital, if maybe 20 states were ready, and they told you, okay, we are ready, probably would have gone with us. But from what we can see, it looks like others are not even ready, just chilling. Okay, let them just postpone. Yes, some athletes are paying. I saw interview of some Lagos athletes, but one thing they are encouraging themselves with is we are ready. As a sportsman, whenever you are being called upon, you should be ready. And whenever it happens in April, they are very ready.
Okay, so we leave it at that, and of course, like they say, we will hear from the horse's mouth later on the show. But let's move on. Let's move on. We'll have to revert at some point, but we need to move on right about now. So let's just go to some other issues that we've been, talking about, and let's quickly go to Rivers State. A lot of interesting stories coming from Rivers State. The two teams, Rivers United and Rivers Angels. Now, they've a huge incentive to do well with the promise that the governor, that's talking about Nyesom Wike, has made to them. A very huge incentive. If I was part of the team, I'll probably break a leg, break one arm, just to ensure. Just joking, by the way, just to ensure that this happens. You know what? Let's listen to the governor of Rivers State make that promise to Rivers United and Rivers Angels, attaching specific promises to, to good performance on the pitch and probably winning of laurels. So let's just go ahead and listen to him. Then we'll come back for more Sports Tonight.
You provided the state-of-the-art luxury boys for Rivers United. Then you provided Costa for the girls. You also go and get one for the girls too. Because you said that with the luxury boys you can travel for 10, 12 hours and go in and play match. Then with the Costa, if you travel 10 hours, you can't go in and play football. So I will not allow that discrimination. Two, the two teams, as you are living here now, you go with 2 ambulances. You have to support you. I believe that when you have an opportunity, you don't miss that opportunity. If you win CAF Cup, your life will change. I don't want to pronounce what I have to change your life, but just win it for the people of the state and then see whether you will be the same. The same thing applies to the Rivers Angels. Win the trophy, be the first that will go to play CAF in Africa, then also your lives will also change. Now, as a motivating factor, if you go and win a Yimba and come back, we'll give you 20 million naira. Now, from henceforth, for the Rivers United, any match you win away, you have a bonus of 10 million naira. The same thing applies to the Rivers Angels, but not to show that teams that you are really Rivers. We don't need to take second, we need to take first all the time.
All right, a lot of promises made. I'm going to allow Bolu unpack it. 10 million naira for away wins. If they're able to cross the hurdle of Aimba, straight away 20 million naira. If you win the CAF Confederation Cup, your life will change. Rivers Angels, if you qualify, you become the first team to play, because they're going to have their own CAF Women's Champions League as well. Your life changes entirely. I mean, what a time to play for Rivers United and Rivers Angels.
The first question is, you asked the question, how are Rivers Angels unbeaten in the league so far? Why wouldn't they be unbeaten? Because they know one of the challenges we have is, while you are playing, look at Hadland, for example, all the shenanigans and everything, but while being active, you're not thinking about money. Remember when we talked about the Adopt an Athletes initiative from the sport ministry? When you know my money is sure, you give your all to your job. You know, you're not thinking about money, you're not thinking about now. don't be surprised if Rivers United beat Enyimba. They've had motivation all through the season.
You know what, Bolu? Let's just pause a little and quickly have this conversation about the National Sports Festival. We're now joined by the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shuaibu, who also doubles as the chairman of the local organizing community. Greetings to you, sir. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight. It feels good to have you join us and help us put some perspective to all of the things that we've heard and that we've read in the papers. So thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me this evening.
Yes, sir. So let's just quickly talk about this fourth postponement. I'm very sure, nobody thought it will go this far, having a fourth postponement. But what are the things that were considered? What are the discussion that you had before you arrived at the decision to say the best approach would be to postpone this to a time in April? What factors were considered and what are the things that you looked at?
Yeah, good evening once again. The Council of Sports met to take these decisions, and don't forget that all the decisions we've taken so far had to be referred to the Council of Sports. We had our own discussion with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport and with the Honorable Minister leading from that angle, and the LOC led by me. And we look at all the issues, especially the issue of funding. And the minister assured us that federal government was ready to support Edo State for the hosting, and they were ready to give us money. And we also discussed the issue of accommodation, because we were already set for an alternative accommodation. You recall that the University of Benin hostel was to be used to cater for about 80% of the athletes that will be coming, the accommodation for about 80% of the athletes that will come in. We spent, Edo State government spent our taxpayers' money to renovate the University of Benin hostel in preparatory for the tournament. And we were not going to use it if this game have been hosted, to be hosted in February 14th. We're already looking for alternative to use some of our schools, and that was going to cost another money. But fortunately, the games have been postponed after considering that federal government, it won't get the funding before 14th of February, and University of Benin, it will be suicidal and it will not be helpful to tell the university, to tell the student to go home. And we looked at all those issues, and we also look at the athletes. The athletes, I must really join the Honorable Minister to apologize to our athletes. It's not something that is good, but it's just that we have to take this decision to have a game that will not only be hosted by us, but we'll be able to cater for those that will be coming. Don't forget also that we are going to host in an era of pandemic, and we need to give confidence to our people that we'll host these games without the game becoming a super spreader at the end of the game. So looking at all these things, the Council of Sport decided that when we check the epidemiologic curve using Lagos and some other states that are epicenter for the coronavirus, we'll look at we'll be reaching our curve. I mean, the top will be declining from the middle of March. So when we use the statistics of the epidemiologists on their own research on coronavirus, the spread, and when the curve will start being flattened. We look at all of them.
I'm sorry. I have to quickly. Sorry, I have to quickly butt in. We need to go on a break, but let's keep you on hold, sir. We go on a break. We'll return. We'll continue from where we left it off. So let's quickly go have that break and continue with our discussion on the National Sports Festival. Okay, all right. Well, we're about to continue with the discussion we're having with the Deputy Governor of Edo State. He's been filling us in, helping us to understand the things that were looked at before that decision was taken, and he has explained a lot of things to us. All right, let's continue with that conversation. You were about to conclude on the things that were looked at before the decision was taken.
Yeah. Looking at the coronavirus spread, looking at funding, looking at accommodation and some other facilities, we decided that April will be a good date. And why we didn't take a particular day in April is that we want to be sure. We are sure that the games will be in April. About the date, we have to leave it hanging because first, the issue of funding led to this postponement. That was a major cause of the postponement, funding. And we needed to be sure that the approval being sorted, and in principle, the president have approved, according to the minister, to fund it. And also, we have a window. University of Benin will be going on vacation between 1st of April to 7th of April. So we have a window to also take advantage. So looking at all those, we discovered that putting it in April will be the best time for us. Okay. Some persons raised issues of fasting, and also some other also raised the issue that fasting does not really affect sports, because if we have to look at fasting, the Christians will be starting their fasting in February, and it will be ending around first week of April. And the Muslims will be starting theirs, I think, around middle of April. So the issue of fasting, the council decided that no, fasting does not affect sports. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we decided April. And I want to assure you that with the enthusiasm and with the assurance that we got from the Honorable Minister, I am confident that the issue of funding will be sorted out, and also with the epidemiologists' own research, that their own input shows that by that time, this virus curve will have been flattened to a greatest extent. So putting all those things together, we are very sure that hopefully we'll be having these games in April.
Okay, thanks for your response. Let me also quickly throw this in. If, and I hope that it turns out that the federal government will give Edo State everything Edo State needs for us to have the National Sports Festival, are you giving us assurances that the Edo State, the optimism is still at the level that it was when you guys won the hosting rights for the National Sports Festival? Is that optimism still very high, or is just a case of let's just host this event and let's just move on, like some people say?
Yeah, I think I would say it's both. We are very optimistic to host, but truly speaking, I would say that the sound is sight and sound of that is synonymous to sport festival of this magnitude will be lacking in this competition, and that is not something that we as Edo people will love to have, because you know that the light and sound of the games is what actually give create that public awareness and also help to promote the state in terms of the gains that comes with it. And also, don't forget that we also wanted to take advantage of this game to also have some kind of economic activity. Our people were ready to take advantage of this tournament to have a robust economic activity too, because when you are bringing over 15 to 16,000 people to the state, And I know our state is a state of art, and everybody was ready for commerce and all those stuff. And hosting it at this time, really, the coronavirus pandemic is alien to gathering and of such kind of thing. But nonetheless, we are going to be hosting this tournament when we needed it most to help to shaping our athletes for the Tokyo Olympics. So for us, it's more like a national assignment to help the country to shaping its athletes to represent Nigeria and register and stamp our authority in one or two sports as we go to the Olympics. So for us, it's a win-win thing. Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank you for your time, Deputy Governor Philip Schwab. I want to thank you for your time on the show tonight. I appreciate the fact that you took time out of your schedule to be with us tonight. I appreciate that. Hopefully, when next we talk, there'll be some more positive things to talk about.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So we're having a chat with the Deputy Governor, and of course, he's been able to explain a lot of things to us with regards to the National Sports Festival. And let me go to Bolu, my partner with me in the studio tonight. I mean, there's really nothing left. The last part of what he said for me is a national assignment. They're hosting the competition, not in the same... It's looking like it's not what they actually bidded for.
Yeah.
But they have to, because it's a national assignment, it's integral to our plans for the Olympics. Yep. They have to do that. But a lot will be missing. He talked about the sights and sounds, the advantages for tourism, commerce. It's not going to be there anymore. But yet, they're still going to go ahead. I feel the enthusiasm will be low, but they see it as national assignment.
Yeah, I think I agree with him 100% because even many journalists have planned themselves how to go at those state. Those have not been there, sightseeing, the culture and everything, learn one or two things about the history of the state. That's what major events like that are always about. Aside the games, the off-the-track, off-the-field events are also very, very key, similar with the Olympic Games. But like you rightly said, we still have to do our part. Let these guys prepare well. For example, one or two athletes who probably were not part or plans for the Olympic Games may surprise everyone, and you have to find a way that if this guy is this good, we have to find a way to chip it in. That's what this event, and I like the fact that he has taken out the religious talks of probably because of Muslim or Christian fasting, we may have to move. No, nobody is stopping anything.
It wasn't a consideration.
It is not part of the options. At least I remember when we played, was it Tunisia AFCON, they were fasting and we still could not beat them in Nigeria. So there's always a way around everything. It's what your heart wants. It's if you really believe I can make the Olympic Games through the sport festival, you have to go for it. And I really hope they can find a set date for that April where we are certain, COVID or no COVID, stress or no stress, like he rightly said, agreeing with the sport minister, money will come by then. So I think April should be the next hope or anticipation for everyone that we will definitely have the sport festival there.
All right, I'm optimistic as well. Let's allow our man, Austin Okona Akpan, pitch in. Greetings to you, Austin. Thanks for joining us on the show. It's good to have you with us tonight. Let me get a quick response from you. You're listening to the Deputy Governor of Edo State, also doubles as the chairman of the local organizing committee, talked about the readiness, although I questioned the level of enthusiasm, but you talked about the state's readiness and the fact that it's a national assignment to host the sports festival.
Yes, it is a national assignment, and right from the last edition in Abuja, I was right there when the former Minister for Youth and Sports Development, Solomon Dalong, announced that Edo will host it. I could feel the enthusiasm. I could feel the sense of responsibility. Governor Godwin Obaseki got on that podium, took the hoisting flag, and said that Edo will give us a national festival that we'll live to remember. Sadly, COVID-19 struck. I like the fact that the state, after every meeting with the Sports Council, they come to give their own side of the story. And he has said it again, that funding was the issue. He appreciates the vibes that the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development is giving, but it is what it is. We are in a very difficult time, and they need help. It's just a shame that this has happened, and this postponement was inevitable. But aside Edo now, the ministry needs to still come out and say some things. They need to, put some clarity out there. They need to put some assurance out there. it's very, very important, particularly for those athletes. The governor said something about we owing the athletes apology for this. The pictures were seen right there when they were announced as the host state for the National Sports Festival. You see the excitement that they had. So, it's sad that COVID-19 has put us in this situation. I like the fact that they still see it as a national assignment and they have the responsibility to deliver. But they need help, they need support, and I hope that in April, after all said and done, these games will just come. Aren't you getting tired? Aren't you tired already?
I am. All right. A lot of us are. All right, so let's leave the little matter of the National Sports Festival altogether. We've said a lot about it already. Austin, stand by. Let's go back to what we were discussing earlier. Let's take some reaction from Rivers United, listening to the governor. And of course, I can tell that they're motivated. So let's just quickly take some reactions and come back to talk about some of the things that will be said.
Number one in sports, number one in politics, number one in statecraft.
Let's say this bus is fitted with, I'm talking about the luxury bus now, with a black bus as it's always in planes. So if there's any problem, the black box will determine the fault. Your Excellency, this bus has a Wi-Fi internet system, that's wireless internet system. Your Excellency, this bus also have an entertainment system where music and television can be relayed to the travelers. And finally, there's a toilet system. You don't need to stop the bus to say, driver, we need to ease ourselves. No, there's an inbuilt toilet system for the players to use.
We as a team, or as teams in River State, we have enjoyed so much goodness or goodwill from you as our leader and our motivator. We cannot equate them through our performances. Some years back, you took us to Madrid in Spain because of our little performance. And ever since then, you have been supporting us as our number one motivator.
I will call you the gender-friendly governor because when you came on board, you took over the Rivers Angels and the United. And since then, you have never failed to do whatever has been given to the boys. It's the same measure they've given to the girls. You've turned our lives around.
Few years back, we normally come to this governor's house to come and ask for our wages. But the very first month that our Excellency be on post, I think we came here, we were outside. He looked at me and said, why are you here? I said, you will have done this. You go. In the next 24 hours, you will receive your money. It was like a magic. And it came to pass, in the next 24 hours, we receive our money.
All right. A lot of people are associated with Rivers United, Rivers Angels, starting from the Commissioner of Sports in the state, Bomaya. You listen to Stanley Eguma, some of the players from Rivers United, all singing praises of the governor for the good things that he's done for the club. Austin, let me get your thoughts. You listened to that. I'm very sure you heard the governor make that promise to those guys. In response, they also thanked him, and I'm very sure they'll be ready to break a ham and a leg to to eventually get those things that he promised. But your reaction to what you have heard and how they're being motivated.
It's a good one, and this is the sort of conversation we want to put in our football space, where football is not just used for propaganda, but you get persons who say things and then do them. You heard the captain, Festus Austin, saying how he said 24 hours, you get your money, and they did. It was good hearing Bomaya. You talk about the features of the bus that they've just acquired for the team. That's the sort of quality you want to see in a league that has professional on it. And I love the gender play that the governor did. He said, look, you cannot get this for the men and then get something lower for the ladies. Do the same for them. Announce the same winning bonus for the ladies. This will pump up some level of competition. Akwa Ibom should hear this and jump and do the same. Kaduna should hear this, jump, do the same. Lagos should do the same. If we keep doing this sort of things, and then we start seeing the benefits and eventually turn our football environment for business, then we will compete amongst the best. And I love the fact that he's doing this to get the team out of that conversation that they were robbed not being part of the CAF Confederation Cup. Now you have met the aim bar. Go and show us some quality. So that's going to be a very good show of football. A lot is tied to it now. 20 million naira would do a lot for the team. So well done to the government of Rivers State. And I'll say let's do more. Not just Rivers State, but every other state has got a professional football team. If you're not putting it into private partnership or making it private business, and as a government, you say you want to own a football team, then run it professionally. Run it like a business.
Okay. All right. So let's move on the show. I'm sure Bolu agrees with you, so there's no need to flog it dead horse. So let's just move on the show. Let's take a look at Week 5 results in the Women's League, the Nwfl Premiership. Let's take a look at the results, matches played. So we'll take a look at the results. Bolu will tell us the stories behind some of the results. Bolu, take a look at this, a quick one. Let's run through it and talk about the stories. Osun United defeating Dream Stars ladies. I still think they're donating points. Delta Queens 1-0 victory over Bayeso Queens. Confluence Queens 1-0 victory over FC Robo. Pelican Stars slim 1-0 victory over. Okay, it turns out to all right, a little mix up from us, but it turns out to be a one-all draw. So we'll talk about that. Then some of the matches played as well, and you have Abia Angels losing to Sunshine Queens by a lone goal. Ibom Angels losing to Rivers Angels also by a lone goal. Then Edo Queens beating Nazara Amazons by a goal. Your thoughts quickly, stories behind the games?
Well, after weeks of no action, they all came back today, and the mission is just score and lock shop. Yeah. Many of the games go some 30 plus minutes.
Slim margins.
Later on is 64. And one of the surprise was FC Robo Queens. Yes, you thought the way they started. And another big surprise is the Bayosa Queens. Won their first 4 games, went on a break, they came back losing their first game, but they're still top of the table. Just presently, Edo Queens and Rivers Angels are the only unbeaten teams in the league. Pelicans could have won their game, but they considered late on in that game, and they are still waiting for their first win in the league. But you know, they are newcomers and trying to balance, at least after losing well. I think their last draw was 3-3, now 1-1. Hopefully they'll pick up their wins very soon. But I think I like what the women are doing. They are probably what we call talk and do since day one. Yeah. Remember after Aisha Falude told them, okay, we are starting on this date. If so and so things are not clear, we move on without you. Okay. And everybody has to gather.
Since you talk about the table, let's quickly see the table after match day 5. You quite rightly talked about the team that is on top. So let's just quickly see it by Elsa Queens on top. After match day 5, of course, they have 12 points. We'll probably get to see that later. But it's time to talk about the Falcons. I'm going to bring in Austin as well, talk about them. They'll be traveling to Turkey in a little while, going for an invitational tournament. But the squad list is out, and we know the ladies that will be in the squad. I'm very happy that they will get the chance. I think the last time we saw them in action when they lost the ticket to the Olympics, that was 2019, if my memory serves me right. That's the last time we saw them in action. But they're back. Coach Randy Wildrum has invited some of these guys to come for the invitational tournament.
One of the beauties for this thing is South Africa, for example, they've gone far ahead, not because they have better players. They go for almost every invitation. I remember there was a particular one the Falcons did not go for, and the best player at that tournament was from South Africa. I was angry because I know he's not better than our Falcons player, but this is what we want, because women's football is not like the guys that you easily get friendlies and everything. It's invitations like this, invitational that you get to compete and play together as a team. I like that they are going for this one. And from the squad, one of the beauties is seeing Monday Gift. She was, I think, captain of the 20, playing well for Robo Queens, and she's gotten be invited. It means do well wherever you are. You can get called up. Most of the time, Super Falcons, you just go to Rivers Angels and pick your players from there, maybe one or two from others. But here, you are now thinking as a coach. I think this is where. This is like they'll say Randy Wardron's problem. I'm thinking of looking at it and I'm like, how does he set up this squad? But again, he is the coach. He has to do it. And come on, we have some of the best players. Interestingly, they camp themselves together. Some in Nigeria, some in Spain, all around. Like, so it means there's also synergy among these guys individually.
All right. Let me get Austin's thoughts. 23 players invited, and like Bolu said, I mean, it's going to be the coaches. It's Randy Wardron's headache. But I mean, a good representation of the best female footballers that we have here and abroad, and hopefully they get to do well in the invitational tournament.
That's what it is. And the first major assignment for a new coach, Randy Wardron, and quality everywhere, no doubt. Undisputed African champions, the Super Falcons, and I think they also did a good showing for themselves at the last FIFA World Cup, making it to the round of 16. They've been put into the same pool with Uzbekistan and Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea have got some unfinished business with the Super Falcons. So that pool will actually get us talking. But as Bolu said, we've not seen action from this team for some time. So this invitational will be a good opportunity for some assessment to be done. And I think they have what it takes to go on to win it. You know, and when you win this sort of competition, it just pushes you to do much more. So shout out to the Nigeria Football Federation for making good use of this window, for considering the women, and I hope that they take the chance.
All right, I hope so too, Austin. We need to go on a break right about now. When we return from the break, we'll wrap things up on the show. We'll talk about the FIFA Club World Cup when we return, and also spare a thought for the FA Cup. But we need to go on that break now and return to wrap things up on the show.
Afrobeat is breaking new grounds daily. Nollywood is on the rise again. So much going on in the fashion world. We will help you keep tabs on the top news and latest from these industries. So, join us on Entertainment News on Channels Television at these times.
All right, welcome back. And we're done talking about the Super Falcons. Tomorrow we'll spend more time talking about them, taking a look at the list and all of the issues relating to the ladies. Let's go to Qatar now and talk about the FIFA Club World Cup. Bolu hinted at the beginning, Al Ahly, $4 million is what is on offer for them just by being at the FIFA Club World Cup. And they didn't return empty-handed. But let's start with the final first. Benjamin Pavard scored in the 59th minute. And, of course, courtesy of that, Bayern Munich won that. And they won every trophy available for them. They've won this. And let's just quickly say, African interest, Al Ahly were able to defeat South American champions, Palmeiras, defeated them on penalties. And guess what? Junior Ajayi scored one of the penalties. I mean, he's been flying under the radar, but a lot of people know he's been doing so well for Al Ahly. I'm hoping that I'll be talking about one Nigerian team in this kind of situation in a few years down the line.
I think there was a time Junior Ajayi won the best foreign player in the Egyptian league. It means he's doing something right. Unfortunately, he got probably just 5 or 10 minutes for the Super Eagles. But now we've talked about Raja Casablanca in 2013 getting to the final. We talked about TP Mazembe in 2010 getting to the final. Now this is another team, Al Ahly, winning 3rd place. It means just get there first. The first thing, and getting there means qualifying for the not CAF Confederations Cup, qualifying for the Champions League. progressing through to from the group stages, winning all through to the final, winning the final. Then it's possible to get there. We don't know if it will be CAF Champions League and CAF Confed Cup team that will represent later on, or first and the two finalists in CAF Champions League. But just to get there, not that we don't have the players, we have the players, we have the quality, but sometimes it takes a process. It's not you hit back today and you want to start winning. No, you have to prepare. Like they say in the UEFA Champions League, you have to pay your dues. Maybe you get to one final today, you lose tomorrow, but you can't just. How many times do you say a team just jump suddenly and win? No, you don't do it that way. And it takes you starting well from home. Not that suddenly we're going to break today, you start, nah, everything is a process.
I agree with you. All right, let's go to Austin, get his thoughts. The other day I was asking you how long it's going to take an African team to put our hands around that trophy. It looks like it might take a while before we get that. But at least kudos to Al Ahly. They faced by an eventual winners of the tournament. But at least they're not coming back empty-handed.
And part of my analysis on that day, other conversation with you was that if they beat Bayern Munich, they were going to win it, right? So they didn't beat Bayern Munich and they didn't win it. So they went on to, win the third place match. That's good for the prestige of the club. It's good also for the amount of investment that has gone into Al Ahly as not just a football club, but a business enterprise. Bolu mentioned 4 million. Sometimes when you put money into sports, if you try to see the money right away, you're not going to do well. So you can say Al Ahly is a project of long-term planning. Put TP Mazembe in that mix, long-term planning. And you can see that these are clubs that are beginning to, reap the benefits. So shout out to Al Ahly, Bayern Munich, anytime, any day, top club, and they deserve to win the FIFA Club World Cup. But yeah, someday, if we start doing the right things with African football, we can get to the international stage and impress. We can.
All right. And I hope that day will come soon. It will be in our time so that we can tell our kids, we talked about it, we saw it happen. All right, Austin, we're about to wrap things up, but we want to wrap things up with the FA Cup. So let's just quickly show to you the results in the FA Cup. One game is currently live. Chelsea and Barnsley is goalless now. Southampton and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Southampton beat Wolves. I don't know what's happening with Wolves these days, 2-0. Austin, this is going to be your parting shot on the show. Yeah. I know you have one eye on the game between Chelsea and Barnsley. But just quickly, in a few seconds, I'm told we have to wrap things up. But in a few seconds, talk to us about this one.
So half-time in the game between Barnsley and Chelsea. Chelsea need to be careful. I told you the other time, this is the upset cup. You saw how it almost ended for Manchester United. You also saw the drama between Everton and Tottenham. Barnsley, a Champions League championship side, that's 13th on the log in that championship with a bad run. They see this sort of game and they get motivated that if we beat Chelsea, people will get us talking. So let's see what they can do with this one. Shout out to Southampton. They did a job over Wolves. Yes, not just a lot of persons are asking questions what's going on with Nuno's team. I thought they're a very decent team, and then they've been dropping points in the league and also crashing out of the FA Cup. So halftime, Chelsea 0, Barnsley 0. I don't know how it's going to end. It's the FA Cup.
All right, so that's it. A good place to leave it. Austin, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we get to do this tomorrow, right?
All right, we'll see.
Okay. All right, so that's it. That's our man, Austin Okona-Akpan, talking to us. Bolu, before we go, Chelsea, Barnsley, halftime, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, Barnsley defeated about 4 Premier League teams last season. So it means they know what it takes. Like Austin Riley said, they're on a bad run, but there's no better way to come back than against Chelsea. And the Southampton game, it's good to mention that the Nigerian-born Nathan Taylor got on in the 87th minute and he created the second goal for them. Remember, General in an interview mentioned him that hopefully it was well. So all well and good in the FA Cup so far.
All right, so that's it. That's a wrap on the show tonight. We hope that you've enjoyed everything. First, I want to thank Bolu for your time on the show. Get to do this some other time.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Austin was with us earlier as well. Big thank you to him as well for taking our time to be with us. That's the show tonight. We'll be back here again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo.